Welcome back to the Balancing Act podcast. I'm Andy Tempty. On the Balancing Act, we talk to business leaders and industry experts to explore the balancing acts we all play in our professional lives and learn more about the events that put rocket boosters behind their career success. Today, we have Megan Dusenbery joining us. Megan is the Chief Revenue Officer at Higher Ed Teaching Excellence Leader ACUE, which she taught me, which is the Association of College and University Educators. Welcome to the show, Megan.
Thanks, Andy. Excited to be here.
Yeah, in the spirit of full disclosure, Megan and I didn't directly work together at Kaplan. We were in two separate divisions, but I knew of Megan for a number of years and watched her career with great interest, as they say. So, Megan, before we get started, it would be great if you told our listeners your story.
Thanks, Andy. I spent 17 years of my career at Kaplan. I started my professional career at Kaplan. I learned from many great leaders in the organization, and I grew within the company. In January of this year, I transitioned and recently joined the team at ACUE as a Chief Revenue Officer, as you mentioned. What I was excited and inspired by with the team at ACUE was the work that they were doing on student success and retention, and really seeing an amazing product in action and knowing that not enough people knew about it, and knowing about my own background and what I was good at, and seeing an opportunity to help grow and change a market.
Thanks, Megan. So if it helps you and ACUE at all, I'll just briefly tell the story of me and my academic experience. I got a PhD from the University of Iowa, was expected to go out and teach the world, and there was no training on how to be a great teacher. So I am really excited about the work that you are doing at ACUE and look forward to starting to see those results show up in terms of better outcomes for university students and then ultimately the employers that hire them. So I'm really, really excited about you working at ACUE. If you had to pick one event in your life that was a key accelerant for your career, what would that be?
It's actually a personal event. It's when I became a mother. I had wanted to be a mom for a long time. I went through a lot to become a mom. And it took longer than my husband and I expected. And I was really excited about the opportunity to finally have a son. And I also was really excited about the career I had at Kaplan at the time. I was excited to keep growing in what I was doing there. I was motivated by the work that I was doing at Kaplan, and I didn't want to walk away from that. But I also didn't want to miss time away from my son. And so with that, I really started to reflect on how am I going to do this long term? And I started to think about how I was approaching work and what I was counting. And I really realized what I was counting was time in the chair. How much time am I spending on work? And I wasn't really thinking about the results that I was driving in that time. I was measuring, well, I worked 55 hours this week, or, I worked over the weekends as measures of success. And that really wasn't it. I wanted to start to quantify how my time was driving results and achievements for the organization, for my team, and how I was achieving outcomes as part of that work. I also found that as I continued to grow as a mom, one of the things that it made me was more confident. I started to become much more confident in being able to raise my hand and say, I can do that. I felt like if I was keeping my son alive and having him flourish, I could do all the things. And so I was able to take on new roles and challenges, actually having results that were measurable helped me gain new opportunities. So even when I think about teams that I've led and successful people, I really think about, the balance that, working mothers or working fathers play in their life And I see that as a defining moment for a lot of people. And so, again, I'm not saying that only parents can be successful, but for me, that was a moment in time that really made me think about my own time, what I was doing, how I was impacting others, and what results I was actually achieving if I was going to continue to spend time in a career, and one that I wanted to continue to be proud of and grow.
Yeah, I 100% agree. I've never had a guest talk about that, the influence that that having children has on your career. It certainly had a profound impact on my career. My story was like, wow, I've got another human being other than myself and my spouse that is wholly reliant on me. And we don't just have one, we have two. Holy cow. The perspective change is phenomenal. And if people can learn, if our listeners can learn from you about the positive aspect of how you viewed that transition, listeners, please do take note from Megan here. Megan, let's get into the matter at hand, which is the balancing acts that leaders play. You joined ACUE as a member of their C-suite at the beginning of 2023, and this is your first C-suite role in what has been a fantastic career arc in education. If you had to choose the most important balancing act that members of the C-suite play, what would that be?
I think that's a great question. And being the chief revenue officer, I'm responsible for growth and accelerating growth within our organization. One of the challenges with that is also making sure that you know where growth is coming from. And growth is coming from our partners, our customers. And I think one of the challenges, the further that you move up in an organization, especially at the C-suite level, is you're pulling yourself further oftentimes from your customer base, and ensuring that you stay closely connected to your customers and to your partners, that you understand their pain points, that you understand their needs, that they know you, no matter how large or small an organization is, that your biggest, most important partners know who you are, that your team knows that you're here to support the end user, the customer, the partner, and that decisions that you're making are reflective of that. Because again, when you're trying to accelerate growth, sometimes you miss the importance that what you're doing or the steps that you're taking are maybe pulling you further in a direction that's not meaningful to the partner or to the customer and what they need. And then you couple that now with this is the first time that I've been in a position where we're working with a board, investors who also have initiatives and growth goals or where they see the company going. But I just think that the further that you move up, and I try and make this a goal in my schedule, I want to stay closely connected to partners and customers. So I do that by attending industry conferences and engaging with those individuals at our booths or in sessions that we're delivering. Time where I can dedicate in my day to join a virtual call with my team to listen to what's important to the partner, so that I can make sure that the plans I'm doing to transform the business are continuing to impact things that actually matter to the customer and partner. So to me, that balancing act that each of us play, the further we move up in an organization, is ensuring that every decision we make is one that's going to drive a positive impact to our customers and to our partners.
Yeah, to just kind of parrot that back, as you move up in the organization, you're supposed to be doing less and less of the doing. And to really make all that happen, you need to empower the people that your teammates. But it's in doing so, it's really easy to disconnect and start to think in your own mind that, well, it's not my responsibility anymore to be right in front of the customer. And how do I balance empowering my people with staying close to the customer? Just that little twist on there. I thought I'd toss that in. What do you think?
No, agreed. And I think that it's important that you are also working closely with your team to make sure you're hearing from them what partners and customers want, and that you ensure what you're delivering back in terms of, pricing strategies or marketing strategies are in alignment and lockstep with that, and that they also feel, heard, and that you're hearing the pain points that they're having as they work to, to sell a product in market or deliver excellent customer service to a partner, where those challenges are, so that you can continue to elevate those concerns, resource them, solve the problems against them. Because again, without customers and partners, there isn't a business. And it's important to ensure that everything you're doing has that at the forefront.
I'm smiling because just before we got together, I recorded my Saturday morning muse for this coming Saturday, April 29th. That's when we're recording this session, and my muse this week is about mergers, acquisitions, and the customer, and how in a merger or an acquisition, that's where we really lose sight of our customer and our people. So we won't dive in there. Let's shift gears slightly. Looking back at the arc of your career, what's the most important balancing act that you've had to play that's had a direct impact on your success as a leader? Is the answer different?
Great question. I think, again, the further you move up in leadership, you start to have dual responsibilities. And not that every person in the organization doesn't have the same dual responsibilities, but the balance becomes more important. You have responsibilities to your company or to your organization, and now you have responsibilities to a team of people that you're leading. You have to think about things like, how do I deliver a message from the company or organization in a way that's going to inspire my team to succeed and be successful? How do I build synergy in teams to be able to achieve those company goals that I'm accountable to? How do I continue to unblock my team and remove barriers and obstacles so that they can succeed in the best interest of the company or organization? And what I feel really has had a strong correlation to my success as a leader is the teams that I've built, ensuring that they were able to collaborate and work together in an efficient and effective manner. So again, if you think about a sales team, oftentimes, well, they're all competitive, they're all driven, but the best and most successful sales teams are willing to collaborate and share their secrets and ensure that each person is getting better and have a friendly and collegial way of competing with each other because they're all driving for success, impact, and outcomes. So being able to build a successful team really had a direct impact on my own career. But I would also say the way in which I could support that team is constantly be looking ahead at what obstacles or barriers might be in the way and clearing the road for them, so to speak, so that they had full runway to be successful. Yeah. So I think those two things are important to balance, along with, am I continuing to do this in a way that is driving success and outcomes for the organization and for the company?
Yeah. One thing that I'd just like to point out is for people, as you ride rise in the leadership ranks, don't be a firefighter for your team, but how you framed it in terms of breaking down obstacles. And there's a nuance. Some people would say, well, breaking down barriers and firefighting, aren't those two sides of the same coin? And I would argue that no, because on what you're describing is breaking down those barriers and then letting the team come in and do great work versus being a firefighter and doing some of that work yourself, or doing basically cleaning up the mess and doing it all yourself. So.
Right. And a lot of that, breaking down a barrier or an obstacle is simply realizing there's not a process here. And I need to build a process, or I can see ahead that we're going to have challenge with an internal team, and I'm going to go connect with that team leader and figure out how we can best set both of our teams up for success to achieve this goal. So again, I think a lot of it is sort of being a visionary, looking ahead at where you're going and what might be in the way, and ensuring you've established process, procedures, and connections so that your team can succeed.
Yeah. Well, Megan, we're going to take a really short commercial break, and we'll be right back. I'm Andrew Temte. The alignment of personal purpose with that of the business we lend our talents to is essential to achieving optimal work-life balance. But do you know what your personal purpose is? To help answer this crucial question, I've created a guidebook to help define your personal purpose and a vision statement to serve as your North Star. Visit andrewtemte.com/purpose to download your free copy today. And we're back here on the Balancing Act podcast. We've got Megan Dusenbery today. Megan, we frequently discuss the balancing act we must play between the application of technical skill and human skill in the modern world of work. As a leader in the education space, what's your perspective on getting this balancing act right? And for purposes of answering this question, let's run a thought experiment. If you have an aspiring early career leader in front of you right now, what advice do you give them to balance human and technical skill as they navigate their career?
Another great question, Andy. I think the first thing I would encourage anyone to do is know what you're good at, know what you're lacking. First of all, from the human end, build a team of colleagues or employees or team members that have those skills around you. Again, I find that, we all have strengths and we all have weaknesses, and where we can build synergy is finding those humans that can complement both our strengths and our weaknesses. And then I think ultimately supplementing those needs through tools, and being able to use a lot of technology tools that are out there to help you continue to grow. So, for example, on the sales and sales analytics end, we've got great tools like Salesforce. So, again, from the human end, I can assess someone's sales skills and talents. But from the data end, I need a resource like Salesforce to help me really ensure accuracy in how I'm making a decision on a team member. So using tools where necessary becomes really important in our roles. And then using the combination of our human skills and our technology to drive decision-making. So again, I think about early in my career, I often make decisions. I felt like I had to make decisions extremely quickly, and that there was some sort of return for being faster to make a decision than someone else. And what I've realized is I need to take a step back to make the right decision. I need to think about it both from the human, personal end, and the qualitative end, and then also the quantitative end, and what I'm seeing in terms of results or a number, and then come together to make an assessment to say, this is what decision I think we could make, and this is why I think that decision is the right one.
Yeah. So I don't want to put you on the spot here, but a little side question for you. You're Chief Revenue Officer at ACUE. You've been in sales for much of your career, and sales as a discipline errs much more on the human skill side than the technical skill side. The question kind of behind this question is, what responsibility do you think that the sales department should have in growing the human skill capability of the whole organization? How can sales really help there?
I think it's a great question, and I don't mind off the cuff questions either. I would say that, again, I go back to who's using the product and who's the end user. And I think the responsibility of sales in an organization, and also I would say, similarly, customer success in an organization, is to ensure that they amplify the voice of their customer, their partner, or the user. And so being vocal in meetings where decisions are being made, or someone is maybe just thinking about a decision only through the data end. This will save us cost if we do X. Really continuing to be the voice of the partner is that important role to play in an organization. That I think that's where a strong salesperson will really excel. I also think the other piece that's important for sales on the human end is to help the organization think about the right way in which to position something to the market. So I see sales and marketing working hand in hand. Leading both at ACUE. It's a really powerful combination when those two groups are well connected and ensuring the right go-to-market strategy. That's both, again, touches on the human element, but also has the data results needed to be successful. So I think that's where successful salespeople can play well in an organization, and that's where they can really benefit that the human element of what's important to a business.
Wonderful. Thank you for that clarifying and kind of doubling down there. Now we're going to put you in a time machine. If you could send a message to an earlier version of Megan Dusenbery, what would the message be, and what previous version of yourself would you choose to send it to?
Great question, Andy. And I would say I would go back to the before kids, Megan Dusenbery. And I would say, why are you working on Saturday and Sunday? Number one. And number two, that you can do it all, that you can continue to grow in your career. You can continue to raise two great children. You can do multiple things. It's all about how you structure your time, how you structure your day, how you structure your priorities, and knowing that needs are going to shift over time. I have two children who want to be involved in a lot of things. And there are times where, my full weekend is consumed at a baseball field. But how I prioritize my work during the week allows me to be able to go do that and not be on my phone trying to answer an email on Saturday, because I've set myself up for success throughout the week to be able to do so. And, again, I know that I'm going to have business travel, and that's okay because I have a really supportive partner who is in this journey with me as well. So again, I would say you can do it all. You don't need to be so nervous, and stop working just to say, I worked so many hours. Start to really figure out what's going to make an impact. How am I going to prioritize and structure my time, and keep going. There isn't a ceiling. There isn't a place where you have to to stop, or some, what I would have thought 5 years ago, where I wanted to go long term versus what I think today. We are all evolving and changing, and those needs of what you want long term, career wise and personally, will continue to grow, and you can keep going as high as you want to.
Excellent. We can all soar.
Mm-hmm.
So, Megan, as we close out the show, can you take us on a deeper dive into ACUE, its purpose, and what's the most exciting thing that you're working on at ACUE today?
So, Andy, I think back to how you started the show, where you talked about your own career in higher education as a faculty member. When you think about most of our higher ed faculty members, they are extremely knowledgeable in their domain. So, if you're a biology professor, you know a tremendous amount about biology, and you're excited about that. However, in most cases, you haven't had formal education training. You express an interest of wanting to show others and demonstrate to others your domain expertise and knowledge. But again, you don't have an education background or degree. When you couple that with the growing population of students who are the first person in their household to go to college, or who maybe didn't have the strongest K-12 learning experience, who are also entering college. And they're entering with a tremendous amount of promise and excitement for their future, and waiting to be captured by the engagement of faculty members. That's where you really realize that faculty development and professional development and training for faculty is important. And so with that, the products and services that ACUE is delivering to help faculty develop in educator training, and also drive really important student success outcomes and retention and persistence outcomes on campus. That's why I'm really excited about the work that we're doing. We have a tremendous product that I continue to be excited and inspired by. We have tons of stories of how we've impacted both students and professors. Again, if you think about that biology professor, there are other professions that they could do that, beyond higher education teaching, but they want to help students. And hearing how they've received our resources and what benefits they've seen in their own classrooms is inspiring. And I truly believe that we will make an impact on the higher education landscape, students' success and graduation rates, and then ultimately what that means and translates in terms of these students entering the workforce. That inspires me to keep going and to ensure that more people know about ACUE and the work that we're doing.
Well, that was one of my goals of having you on the show, is to, in whatever way we can, amplify the purpose of ACUE, because it is a really, really important mission that you are on. So thank you for the work that you're doing. Thank you for being on the show today. My name is Andy Temte. This is the Balancing Act podcast. We've had a wonderful time with Megan Dusenbery today. You can find the show on all the major streaming services. Please like, subscribe, rate, share. Thanks again for joining us, Megan.
Thank you, Andy.
Have a great day, everyone.